Get started now. We're about to get started now, so I'm first going to introduce the lovely MC of the night, Maggie. There she is. All right, put your hands together for Maggie.
So thank you all so much for being here, and like Nancy said, this is a really safe space, and we're just laughing as much as we can. I was thinking all week about like what makes a great MC. You know, I just wanted to come in hot and start the night off hot and be a good mistress of ceremonies, and I thought my job's just to warm you guys up. So I thought I would share my favorite joke to get all the laughs rolling. So here it goes. So there were 4 boys, and they were walking down a dirt road. They were carrying a big roll of duct tape, and there was an old man sitting on his porch, and he said, "Where are y'all going?" And they said, "Obviously, catch some ducks." A few hours later, they come back, 3 big ducks under each of their arms. He just shakes his head. Next day, they come back. They're carrying a big load of chicken wire. "Where are y'all going?" "Get some chickens, obviously." 4 hours later, they come back, big old chickens under both their arms. He just shakes his head. Last day, they come by, carrying a bunch of pussy willows, and he said, "I'll get my hat." So to get the night rolling, we want to thank the brave soul that was so kind to go first tonight, the amazing Greg Fortier.
Alright. I've always wondered how I'd hold the mic if I was doing stand-up, so I'm about to find out along with the rest of you. I think it's a stand. Alright. So, this is not how I pictured it. There was no camera. The stage was sunken, and everyone was spitting on me. So we're going to start with a roll call. Who here is very afraid? Hands up. Who here is not performing? Hands up. Stand up, or half stand, whatever you can manage. Now everyone boo these people. Boo. Boo. Oh, they went down immediately. Yeah, no, these are high stakes. These are high stakes. If you don't perform well, they're going to leave you on the email chain forever. So, this brings me to my next question. Whose fucking idea was this? 1, identify. 2, that it? Yeah. This is the result of event planning plus a cocaine habit. They did it. They did the drug, and then somebody woke up and sent the email. And now we're here. You know, it was my birthday a few weeks ago. We threw a party. Friends came over. We played Flip Cup. We played beer pong. There was kings. Those who stuck around got to play Settlers of Catan. But something was missing the whole time, and I realize now, none of my friends were afraid. They were not afraid for weeks leading up to my party. There was not this fucking, like, organ-deep fear. Like, just having a normal conversation and just... But you guys, this is what you wanted. This is, the 3 of you, you've thrown yourself like a little quinceañera right next to an ICE border patrol facility. This is, hold it, we're amping up. This is your baby shower after 2 miscarriages. Linda, you got me baby shoes. Oh, hopefully I get to use more than just the shoebox this time. All baby coffin jokes, they're done from now on. Anyone else who had those jokes, just put them in your back pocket. Oh. All right, so speaking of changing the subject, I have an Audible subscription, so I'm listening to books a lot, and I want to talk to you about Steve Jobs a little bit. Anyone else hear the Steve Jobs biography? My 2 main takeaways: it was not his genius or his creativity. Through his entire life, there were 2 things about him: running thread. He cried a lot, and he smelled bad. He smelled so bad. During his first job at Intel, they had to put him on a night shift because people didn't want to work near him. That's how bad it was. He smelled so bad that when he was 29 years old, and the company had gone public, they headhunted the biggest CEO they could find. They brought the guy over from Pepsi. He flew in, hired him. His first order of business was taking Steve for a walk. And he said, Steve, you're really bringing the company down. You smell extraordinarily bad. And they locked horns right then and there. You had the headhunted CEO, and you had Steve Jobs, the stinky genius. And at the end, and Steve started crying, naturally. He cried during all the negotiations. They decided that they would agree Steve Jobs would shower once a week. That was the agreement. That's how bad that he smelled. Yeah. I'm not even telling jokes, I'm just telling I'm just telling you what I've learned. They went public when he was 27. This was his company. He was worth over $100 million by the time he was 30. And he never stopped crying in public, and he never stopped smelling bad. So next time you are getting the tears out during your morning shower, or standing in a Chipotle, smelling okay, keeping it together, you gotta ask yourself, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Well, that's my time.
One more time. Guys, these people have never done stand-up before. This is amazing. So we're gonna keep it rolling with his better half. Please welcome the lovely Ellie Fortier. Our next performer, this amazing dad-to-be, took off work tonight to be with all of us. Please welcome Malcolm Sternasher.
I'll be back behind the bar after this. I am immediately regretting this decision.
Let me take a picture.
So I was walking down the street the other day, looking down at my phone, as people do in New York, and I looked up and there was this guy like staring me right in the eyeballs, and I knew he thought I was Adam Goldberg. And in his defense, I do. Like from straight on, not so much, but when I tease some nose at like 20 degrees, it's uncanny. Where do I go from here? I get it a lot though. People come up to me, they're like, yo bro, you look just like that guy from that thing. You remind me of that dude. And it's like, it's fine. I'm used to it, but I wish that people would be a little more straightforward. Like, I would love for one time to just hear, hey dude, you know who you remind me of? Matzo ball soup. So yesterday was my birthday. I turned 33. Thank you. And I would describe like my 30s so far as a decade of big life decisions. And they started smaller. At 30, my girlfriend at the time and we got a little cat, Louie. We named him after Louis C.K. I know, but it was before all the weird penis stuff was happening. Well, actually, it was while the weird penis stuff was happening. But no one really knew about it yet. Well, people knew about it, but the media hadn't heard about it yet. Well, the media had heard about it. They just weren't really like writing about it. Well, that's not true. They were writing about it, but no one was like paying attention. No, people were paying attention, but no one cared because he's so funny. Then the next year, like we had the cat, and then we got engaged and married. Thank you. And my wife is here. She's beautiful. She's amazing. She's over there. She's She's the one with another person inside of her. A baby. Marriage is a huge decision. Like, I went into it like, oh, we love each other, we live together, everything's gonna be the same, like nothing's gonna change. Obviously, I was wrong. If anyone says that marriage doesn't change anything, they're lying. And I'm not saying anything like big, but like for instance, recently my wife decided she never has to use the internet ever again. Like she'll just ask me tailor-made Google questions. Like we were at the movie the other day, and she turned to me and she was just like, "Hey Mel, how do spiders do it?" Like we're normal people and nothing is wrong. How do they're hanging and then they're wet? And I'm like, honey, it's only the 12th of the month. Like, your data's already up. Like, we need to go to Verizon because this Cricket Wireless isn't working out. And another thing, call me crazy, but I thought that after I got married, I would never have to date ever again. But apparently when I signed the certificate, I agreed to have my profile uploaded on the Married Men Seeking Married Men database. She's constantly trying to get me to hang out with her friends' husbands. Like her friend Lisa's husband Dave, who she's really been wanting me to hang out with. Like, you guys are gonna get along great. You have so much in common. You have to hang out. I'm like, honey, I don't want to meet Dave. I have 3 friends. I'm good. Dave has 3 friends also. He's good. Actually, we do have a lot in common. We would probably get along great. Then last year, I mentioned before, my wife's pregnant. We're having a baby. Thank you. What I've noticed is since she's been pregnant, we've hang out with our friends and their kids, but every time we do that, it feels like I'm auditioning for her, for being a dad. Like, we'll be at their house and she'll just be watching me from across the room like, he's gonna touch something. He's gonna hold it. He's holding it. Oh my God, he's holding it. He's gonna be a great dad. He's gonna be a great dad. I'm like, yeah, hand-eye coordination is all we need for this thing to work out. Sometimes I still am not convinced that she's not just like gaining summer weight, aside for the fact that she reminds me constantly to the contrary. Like the other night I got home from work and she was on the couch like hysterically crying, and I was like, oh my God, what's wrong? Like, did Obama die? Like, what happened? And she's like, there's no frozen yogurt on Seamless. I was like, I had to rush her to the nearest 16 Handles before all hell broke loose. Has anyone here been to 16 Handles? It's great, like a self-serve froyo. You fill up your cup with assortment of flavors. They have a nice toppings bar. And then they make you weigh your cup in front of all of your friends and family. Just to show you how much of a piece of shit you really are. And you have to make up some excuse like the machine was broken, like, oh my God, the cookies and cream is coming out so fast. I didn't know what to do. I'm never gonna finish this all. And then 5 minutes later, I'm done.
Next performer, hit it, Nate. Straight from Kentucky, please welcome Mark Parker.
Magic. Thank you. It's great to be here tonight. Great to share a stage with these wonderful comedians. It's awesome to be here. As a Christian comedian, it's very difficult to know how funny you're supposed to be because killing is a sin. And bombing is not much better. So just, I grew up in the church. My dad was a pastor. How many of you, show of hands, who grew up in the church here? Who was raised in the church tonight? There is not a single hand. There's not a, okay. So church has changed a lot since I was a kid, and you don't need to know, you don't need to go there to know that. You can actually just look at the names. So, when I was a kid, the names were things like, Grace United Methodist, First Baptist Church, Second Baptist Church. The Baptist never got to third base. But the names are changing. The churches out there, the churches are changing, the names are changing, they're catching up with the times. So I was Googling, I was looking for a new church. I was looking for a place to take my family, and I was looking, and some of these are real names of churches I found. Cornerstone, okay, fine, seems reasonable. Oasis, kind of weird, little 90s Britpop. The Axis, those guys lost World War II. Why is that a church name? Not good. But my favorite church name, the favorite one I found, is a church in New Jersey. It's called Liquid. Liquid is not a name for a church. It's a name for a nightclub.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us for Bible study at Liquid. Hosted by Youth Pastor Tom. Special guest appearances by the Apostle Paul. Chloe Sevigny. John the Baptist. Alan Cumming. Special DJ after party by American synth pop group Holy Ghost. So it's tough. It's tough being a working comedian. You've got a family at home. You've got a wife. You've got 3 boys: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The wife likes Bible names. So it's hard to leave them. I was blessed. I was blessed a few months ago to go down to Honduras. I got to do this special comedy set for a group of missionaries that were working down there. It's kind of a USO tour, but with a lot more altar calls. And I was going to the airport, and I get to JFK, and I'm going up to the ticket counter, and I get this feeling in my heart. It's the same feeling, the same place I get when I think about how certain I am that our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is going to come back someday. And I knew right then and there that I did not have my passport with me. So I take off running, like the fat Usain Bolt I am, praying the whole way there. Get to the taxi cab stand, get in the taxi cab, and I tell this guy, I say, JFK, Cobble Hill, JFK, 90 minutes, let's do this. And he goes, and he gets on the LIE, and in that moment, I'm taken back to little 8-year-old me, sitting on that little country church pew, and Sister Mildred raised her hand, and she says, Brother Mark, my family is going on vacation this summer, and I'd just like to ask for traveling mercies. And as an 8-year-old boy, I didn't know what traveling mercies were. But in that cab, I knew what traveling mercies were. And it was that cab driver, because he was going 75 miles an hour down the LIE, and with the potholes, it's like going 75 on the surface of the moon. And he was weaving in and out of traffic like you can tell. And we get to my house, 40 minutes, we're 5 minutes under budget. I'm feeling it, and Meshach is standing out there with his passport up, and I grab it, and I don't even kiss that little boy goodbye, and I get back in the cab, and we're going. And that cab driver is a pro. He is Mario Andretti, and he's Nicky Lauda, and he's Dell Jr. all wrapped up in one. And we're going, and he's cornering on an on-ramp like he is auditioning for Fast and the Furious taxi cab drift. And I get back to the counter. The ticket agent's there, and I get back, and I tip the driver. I can always tip the driver. But I get back to the ticket agent there, and he looks at his watch, and he looks at me. And he looks at his watch, and he says, buddy, I hope you've got TSA pre-check. And I look at him, and I said, brother, there's only one thing that can help me in this situation, and that is G-O-D prayer check. Thank you.
And then they make it animated. It's so funny. Like, if we can get a baby,
for our second group, trip. I've been spending a lot of time with two of these four people in my 400 square foot apartment. They've been staying with us for the last 3 days. And the newly married, they're celebrating their 6-month wedding anniversary. We'll start with the bride. Please welcome Rachel Cooper.
Hello. Okay. So as Maggie said, I'm recently married. We met online. Has anybody done online dating?
Yeah.
Okay. Total absolute disaster. I did it for 4 fucking years. Good luck with that. I was on every site there is. JDate, even though I like to say I'm Jew-ish. eHarmony, Hinge. Do you know about Hinge? It basically tells you who in your building wants to have sex with you. It's like Grindr for straight people. You learn a lot about yourself dating online, a lot about other people. In my last relationship before I met my husband, I learned a bit about international dating. This guy was from New Zealand, very exotic. So yeah, he did things kind of backwards. Things were a little odd. I learned that male douchebag entitlement is a global issue. It does not just afflict us here in the US. It is a major global problem. So there were a lot of red flags from the beginning, but in my absolute desperation to not be single in my late 30s, I figured settling just started to sound like a really good option. Like, it's settling in, right? So we were dating for 6 months, and he asked me to come home with him to New Zealand over Christmas. I was like, that's a pretty good step in the relationship. On Christmas Eve, I actually thought he was going to tell me he loved me. He's like, I want to talk. I was like, okay. And he said, you know how sometimes code isn't running smoothly, and sometimes you just need to make a little change, and it's better, and then sometimes you just need to throw it out completely and start over. I was like, I think so. So you're having a work issue? And he said, no, I'm talking about a relationship. Did you just compare our love life to JavaScript? If he had started comparing to relationships to writing computer code on our first date, I never would have taken my fucking bra off. The desperation, settling, I persevered. Fast forward 6 weeks, it's Valentine's Day. He comes over with a bottle of champagne and a gift. Although the gift giving he even did backwards, he gave me a set of darts that I had ordered for myself, and he had swiped the Amazon Prime box from in front of my apartment before I could open it, and gave that to me as a gift. So a lot of red flags, but kept it going. So we're drinking champagne, playing darts in my apartment, and we got in a fight, like tends to happen when you're dating a self-righteous asshole with Asperger's. And then the breakup comes. So we're in the middle of this fight. He goes, eject, eject, eject. No. I was like, is this a Top Gun reference? Sorry, Goose, I'm a little lost. And he said, no, I'm breaking up with you. So I'm just shocked. And I said, don't I deserve a conversation or something? And then the dancing portion of the breakup began. And he goes, what do you deserve? What do you deserve? And I was like, I don't know, but get the fuck out of my apartment. So he left, and I never talked to him again. But it was all well and good, because it was soon after I met Trevor. Our first date was super romantic. We had oysters and wine. I talked about all of my suicidal patients. He talked about all the kids that die in the emergency room. I told my friends the next day, I met this doctor. He's super cute. He's super nice. He likes to surf and cook. Like, okay, you're obviously hallucinating because no one like that exists, and if they did, they certainly wouldn't date you. Turns out he's just as neurotic as I am, so it worked out. He would later tell me he knew he loved me on our third date. He had actually picked me up from the emergency room. I'd had a complication from a surgery, and my parents were out of town, and he just said, you were so patient and kind, even though you were in so much pain. Like, that shit didn't last long. Now I get a paper cut and I'm a bitch for 2 weeks. But you gotta keep that shit on lock, right? You don't talk about computer code on the first date. You don't let the bitch out the beginning. Like, the beginning of the relationship, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll take the dinner I've been working on all night out of the oven if you want to go grab beers with your friends after work. And now it's like, oh, you want to go get beers with your friends after work? See if we ever have sex again. But less than a year later, we were married, we just bought a house, we're getting a dog in 3 weeks. I would go on and on about how happy we are, but I don't want everyone to throw up on me. So I'll just end with this. My message to you is don't settle. If you think your partner is not the one for you, I say go home tonight, walk in and say eject, 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 and get yourself out of there.
to follow. I think the pride of Park Ridge, New Jersey is up for it. Welcome, Zach Keller.
So my girlfriend, she gets upset sometimes because she says that I have a crush on her friend. And it's true, but I think she should be happy, right? Not upset, because that's why I'm still with her, so. Is that funny or is that mean? I mean, I know I'm funny, but is that particular joke funny? I should say I know I'm really funny. I know I'm really funny because one time I overheard my coworker on the phone with her friend she was trying to set me up with. This was before my girlfriend, and they didn't know I was listening in on the conversation, but the friend was like, "So, what's he look like?" And my coworker was like, "Well, he's really funny." Speaking of my girlfriend, she recently asked. Let me pause right there and say that my girlfriend's name is Katie. She's here tonight. I hear myself saying girlfriend, and it sounds really weird. I'm at this point in my life right now where, as you've heard, a lot of my friends are getting married. Some of them are having kids. Some of them have recently had kids. And so girlfriend, it sounds a little strange. Telling people I have a girlfriend is kind of like telling them I have a pet hamster or a video game collection. It's like, it's something that used to be really cool that you would brag about, but now it just seems a little dated, and so I try to stay away from it. So recently Katie asked me, when's the last time that I peed my pants from laughing too hard? That was just a normal conversation that two people have when they're together. I told her never. In 33 years, I've never peed my pants from laughing too hard or anything else, I don't think. I've shit my pants from farting too hard, for sure. It's the worst. It is the worst. You guys know what I'm talking about. Going to the bathroom without a toilet has got to be one of the worst things. It's just a little bit better than taking a shit without your phone, right? What are you supposed to do? Count the tiles on the phone? I don't understand. You have to use your imagination. It's kind of like jerking off without porn these days. It's like, how do you even... Something's going to come out, but it's not going to be as enjoyable, for sure. How come the best tasting foods always lead to the worst tasting shits? That was just a question. So this is the first time that we're all doing this, probably the only time, and judging somebody on the first time they do stand-up is kind of like judging somebody on the first time that they have sex. I can tell you that, for what it's worth, I've already lasted longer up here. Much like sex, though, I have about 2 minutes of planned material. I'm going to try to stretch that to 5. I hope I make it. But honestly, I was asking my friends for advice. I was like, I've never done this before. What do you recommend? And they'd never done it before either, so their advice wasn't that helpful. They said, oh, you should practice your jokes out loud in your apartment. I was like, it's a little strange. Like, nobody else is going to be there. And they said, no, that's the point. You should tell the jokes around nobody so that you get used to the silence after each punchline. Honestly, I didn't know if I was going to make it here tonight. For those of you who don't know, I had my appendix out last week. They didn't give me the sunburn. They just... For those of you who don't know, the appendix is this small organ that kind of dangles off the edge of your intestines. It's an integral part of the digestive system. What it does is sends about 20% of people to the emergency room at some point in their life. But honestly, if you're worried about getting your appendix out, I wouldn't worry too much. It wasn't that hard. And afterwards, they give you a bunch of drugs. I remember the doctor, I was in recovery, and they were like, yeah, you'll be in pain for about 24 hours or so. And then they gave you enough Percocets to last a week. I thought was a little strange. It was like a mixed message there. A week's worth of Percocets, it's not enough to kill yourself with, but it's just enough to like better understand the opioid epidemic. And I swear, when she handed it to me, she said, come back and see me in a week, and she winked. Right? It was a little weird. So like I said, some of my friends are becoming parents. Some of them are new parents already, which is great for them. I'm really happy for them, because parents, they always had access to all the best stuff somehow. Like your parents always had the best furniture in their house, and the best AC, right? You could always just kind of go up to the AC and like type in a temperature, and all of a sudden it was that. My AC at home, I have low, medium, and high, and honestly, I don't know which one I'm looking for. And then they always had the best snacks, right? My parents had something called a pantry, and inside there was an entire snacks cabinet. My snacks cabinet these days consists of like a half-eaten bag of baby carrots that is in the refrigerator drawer that I like to like drizzle a little light ranch over. It's really weird. So I'm definitely the age a grown-up is supposed to be, but am I a grown-up? Like, I'm not married, I don't have kids, so I gotta look for context clues, like, are you still on your parents' cell phone plan? Do you know how taxes work? Do you frequently participate in conference calls? These are all context clues. Sometimes it feels like I'm trying to like show people I'm a grown-up, or maybe I'm trying to prove to myself that I'm a grown-up. That's why I have the beard, obviously. That's why I post selfies of myself in my office at work. That's why I write letters to my congresswoman about the Affordable Care Act. But the beard is definitely the big one, right? A lot of people say, like, for a guy, you become a man when you start shaving. But I don't buy that. Because back then, you're still in high school. You're kind of taking orders from everybody. And shaving is just kind of one more order that you have to take. So I think becoming a man is when you stop shaving, right? Because that's when you stop taking orders and you're like, fuck you, I'm gonna let this thing grow out because I got nothing else to do. It's kind of like giving up. Growing up and giving up are kind of like the same thing. We live in New York, right, most of us, and we're surrounded by crazy people, right? You see them on the subway, you see them outside Papaya Dog, and you're always like, whoa, steer clear of that person, he's crazy. But for me, it's not weird that there's a lot of crazy people. What's weirder is that we're not all crazy also. Like, crazy feels like one step further than I allow myself to go each day. Like, if this morning I just didn't shower and decided to entertain every thought that came into my head, I'd be outside Papaya Dog too. So I have no idea why it's that weird. Speaking of that, legal weed is too strong. That's not a joke, that's just a fact. Recently I was in California and I took a little chocolate, right? And I ended up upstairs at a restaurant because who knew restaurants had stairs. And I really wanted to leave. I promise you I wanted to leave. I had eaten all my food, we had paid the bill, but I had to walk down the stairs. And walking down the stairs is hard enough when you're high. It's even harder when every single person in the restaurant is looking at you and talking about how high you are. It's a fucking trip. So I guess my message to Governor Cuomo would be maybe pump the brakes on this whole legal weed thing for a little while. Let my tolerance catch up a little bit. Damn. Shit. I thought I had a 9/11 joke at this point. I guess I forgot. And that's all I got. Thank you very much.
One more time for Zach Heller. And our final performer of the set, I think we need another 48. So Matt, please join us.
Zach, can you actually leave those notes up here? I didn't bring any of my own jokes, so I'm going to need these. Thank you. How's everybody doing tonight? All right, can we hear it again for all the comics? You guys have been absolutely killing it. So, seriously though, it's just better than I could have ever imagined. I'm going to start by just calling out the comics I know. Zach, I knew I was going to have a hard act to follow after seeing your best man speech with Malcolm. Seriously, this was almost as funny. That wasn't a joke. His best man speech was awesome.
Yes, it was.
Malcolm, happy birthday. You absolutely killed it. Greg, Ellie, way to represent the Fortiers. You guys were absolutely awesome. Unfortunately, it does not run in the family. But seriously, fun fact. 1 out of every 4 amateur comedians is a Fortier. 1 out of every 1 Fortier is an amateur comedian. Awesome. So, seriously though. I don't know what I'm doing up here. Because at first it was obligatory that we were all here, and then they gave us an out, and I didn't take it. I don't know if I didn't read the emails, but for some reason, I think I'm the only person who's not a real comedian who made it up here. And then I thought to myself, why am I actually coming up here? I could, literally, 5 minutes ago, I could have left, could have walked out the door, could have Irish exited. And then I said, it must have been that fortune cookie that said, seize the moment. And then, no, wait, it was that 1 free drink ticket. 1 free drink ticket. What does that say about me? That for 1 free drink ticket, I'm willing to publicly humiliate myself. An alcoholic, right? No, worse. A cheap alcoholic. More on that later, I promise. In fact, if this all goes well, I don't run off the stage early, I'll end by telling you how alcohol helped me fulfill my dream of doing push-ups in jail. True story. Coming back to that one. All right, but right now I want to tell you a little bit about myself. For those of you who don't know, my name is Matt. I grew up in New York City. Can we hear it for the greatest city in the world? Except I don't live here anymore. But I'm still super proud of New York City. In fact, any opportunity I get, I love to tell people I'm from New York, and somebody asks me, hey man, where are you from? I'm like, New York fucking City, man, born and raised. So like, if they're not from New York, they're like, oh my God, this guy's shit. Like immediately, no matter what I've done before that, I've got respect. Now, if they're from New York, they're gonna ask me some more questions. They're like, where in New York are you from? I'm like, Manhattan. Because they're like, oh, is he from like Connecticut or Long Island? I'm like, no, I'm from Manhattan. And then they ask, where in Manhattan? I'm like, Upper West Side. Are they gonna like ask me for my address? What's going on here? And then I see this look come across their face. And I'm like, shit. They're thinking like, oh, Upper West Side, like I just lost my street cred, like rich, white, Jewish, like not as cool anymore, so I desperately throw out, but I went to school in the Bronx. Saved it. My credibility reestablished. What I don't tell them is that school in the Bronx was called Bronx Science. That's not cool. I don't tell them that our baseball team had science baseball written in front of it. That's not cool either. No, I gotta keep the street cred up. Now, if they're not from New York, well, I've got their respect, but now they want to know, what's the restaurant to go to? What's the bar? And that's when I realized, I haven't lived here for 15 years. Last time I lived in New York City, I was using a fake ID, and Nobody Beats the Wiz was still in business. Buy me a drink later, I'll tell you how the Fortier family took out Nobody Beats the Wiz. True story.
Liars!
True. So they asked me for that bar recommendation, and I'm not willing to tell them I have no fucking clue. So instead I said, hold on 1 second. I text my friends, I'm like, quick, stat, I need a bar recommendation from Murray Hill. They send me that recommendation, and I pass it on as my own. Street cred established. Street cred maintained. Feedback?
You're good. Just stand back.
Cool,
Stand back.
thank you. So if they are from New York City, sorry, I already did that. Let me go back. So, Mike threw me off. Let's hear it. Yeah. All right. So, I may be passing on bar recommendations as my own, and they're not. But at least I'm from New York City. See, I studied abroad with my buddy Zach. We were in France. He's from Basking Ridge, New Jersey. That's like a good hour from here. Now, we were in France, and inevitably the question's going to come up. Where are you from? I'm like, New York fucking City. Born and raised. Super proud. And he's like, me too. I'm like, hold up. What do you mean you're from New York City? You're not from New York City. He's like, yo, man, it's easier this way. Like, I don't have to take out a map and show him where New York is, show him where Baskin Ridge is. It's easier this way. I'm like, easier? Easier? It's easier to tell women I'm well endowed, but when they get there, they're gonna know. Excuse me, this doesn't look like the Big Apple. But like I said, I haven't lived here for a long time, but I come to visit often. And back in 2008, December, I'm visiting, and you have to adapt to New York City you have to adapt to New York City nightlife when you're not from here. Because where I'm from now in DC, bars close at 2 a.m. In New York, you don't even go out till 2 a.m. Now, back in the day in 2008, I'm drinking, pre-gaming with my friends. Malcolm, this is back in the day when, we used to party hard, back before marriage and babies and matching drapes. And we're partying hard, and it's getting to 1 a.m., and this is usually like my finish line. But we're about to just get started. So Malcolm looks at me, he's like, yo, man, you're looking a little drunk, man. Why don't you drink some water? Very, very wise, Malcolm, except for also very stupid. Because everybody knows that trying to convince a drunk person they're drunk is like trying to convince a fish they need water to survive. You may be right, but you're talking to a goddamn fish. It's a non-starter. So Malcolm hands me a glass and says, no, man, have some water. Second mistake, Malcolm, you didn't fill it up with water. So what do? I'm drunk, I'm defiant. I fill it up with vodka. And then before anyone could stop me, I chug that glass of vodka. Well, if I wasn't too drunk before, I'm definitely too drunk now. But don't worry. When I get too drunk, I'm not like normal people. I don't puke. I don't make bad romantic decisions. I don't pee in closets. No, my spidey sense starts to tingle. I Irish exit and I beeline home. Well, I started off the exact same way. Except after that Irish exit, when I went to get the 2-3 line to go uptown, I instead got the PATH train, and next thing you know, I'm heading to New Jersey. The irony is not lost on me. So, the story gets a little blurry here. You remember the glass of vodka, right? Let me tell you to you in 4 quick parts. Part 1, I call optimism and denial. I wake up on the PATH train. Next stop, Newark. I'm not deterred. I pick up the phone, I call Malcolm. Voicemail. Still not discouraged. I leave a message. Hey, buddy. Oh, it's Matt. I got drunk. I got on the wrong train. Don't worry. I'm going to turn this train around. I'm coming back to party. Keep the party going. Keep the party going. I literally said that. I hope you saved that voicemail. Part 2, reality. I wake up again. This time I'm on a bench at the Newark platform. Oh my God. I check my belongings, all still there. I check my watch. Oh, only a few minutes have passed. Everything seems good. Wait a second, where are all the people? Sure enough, I was the last one there. They had locked me in the outdoor train station. I walked up and down the train station. All the exits were locked. It's outdoors. I look at the fence. There's barbed wire on top. I consider it for a brief moment. Only good decision I made that night, I did not climb that fence. I go back to the door. There's a security camera. I wait for what felt like an eternity. Nobody comes. It was probably only 2 seconds in hindsight. Part 3, idiocy. Well, any reasonable person would have called the police that time, but I was not reasonable. And let's be honest, what drunk person calls the police on themselves? I mean, I may have been innocent, but I was definitely pushing the definition of innocent. So I don't call the police on myself. Instead, I don't know how I found it, find a steel post, and I smash through the first door. It's a glass door. I'm liberating myself from my outdoor prison. The alarm goes off. I swear to God, I think to myself, oh good, now somebody will come and find me. But in the meantime, there's another door to take care of. I smash the second door. Part 4, the arrest. Spoiler alert. I walk through the door, big grin on my face. I think that I'm free. Within seconds, I am tackled from behind, on my stomach, hands behind my back, cuffed, at least 3 policemen standing above me. I don't know how they got there so fast. I can only imagine they were watching me on the security cameras laughing until their jaws dropped as they realized what I was about to do. Not in time to stop me, but just in time to arrest me. That, my friends, is how I spent a night in a Newark prison. That's how I got to do push-ups. And that's why I love New York. Love New Jersey a little less. And I drink water when I go out drinking because I'm a fucking adult now.
We'll be back in a little bit.
Not really many words.
What goes on the Making tab?
Amazing. One more time for Noah Isaac. Next up, in my personal opinion, is the most good-looking, funniest, most thoughtful, Nathan Cooper.
All right.
Hello.
Oh.
So when I was putting together the order of people, I thought going later would be safe because everybody would bomb and I'd look hilarious, but everybody's been super funny, so now I'm fucked. No, but I was wondering what should I talk about? Like, what should I talk about? And like, I thought I needed to make it relatable. So I thought I'd talk about work. Who works? Who works? You guys got jobs? Okay, you guys got jobs? Okay. So I do freelance work, and I recently got a job, and the office is located in the World Trade Center. So, oh yeah, so everybody's like, oh, this guy's gonna tell a 9/11 joke. Yeah, but I wouldn't do that. That's a fucking disaster. The 9/11 joke I have is not funny. If I told it, it would be a fucking disaster. No. But seriously, no. But I go down there every day. Not every day, but I go down there and I walk by. You know, to get into the building, you have to walk by the 9/11 memorial, and it doesn't really say what happened here. It doesn't really say this is where Bush and the Jews conspired to take down the towers. And like, that fucking bugs me out. Like, I don't get why they wouldn't mention that. Because like, I'm pretty sure if you went down to the Kennedy Space Center, it would say, this is where we staged the moon landing. Like, if you go to Auschwitz, it says, this is where we didn't kill 6 million Jews. So I just don't get why they don't mention that there. So it's super weird, but you know, so I walk by the memorial, and then I walk inside, and I'm like, this is an inside job, you know. And then I think back when I was in high school, I was in a lifeguard. That was an outside job. You know, doctor, that's an inside job. Traffic cop, outside job. You know? Ford factory worker, what is it? Inside job, right. You know, so park ranger, outside job. Teacher, inside, unless it's recess, outside job. So, it finally started to click. I was like, yeah, 9/11 is a fucking inside job. I get it. But no, for real though, like, when you're working there, like, there are certain times of the day when it like really hits you. Like, yo, shit happened here. And it happened, I was working late the other night, and it was 8:46 p.m. And I was like, damn, what if the terrorists fucked up AM and PM? Like, that would suck, dude. Like, first off, that would be super embarrassing for them. But I guess I'd get it, you know, Afghanistan, time change, you know, like, that might happen. But, and then I was like, damn, the boss asked you to work late, and then the boss asks you to work late, you're sitting with your seamless, you got a spreadsheet open, and then a fucking jumbo jet is in your lap. Like, fuck that, you know? You know, everybody says they want to die doing something they love, you know? People are like, yo, I want to be having sex when I die. I want to be surrounded by people I love when I die. I want to be eating fried chicken when I die. I want to be collecting stamps when I die. You know, shit people love. But I don't get that. I don't get that. Don't you want to be doing something you hate when you die? Like, don't you want it to fucking end? Like, so you're waiting in traffic for the Holland Tunnel. You have a fucking stroke. Guess what? You're not in traffic anymore. You know? You're watching a baseball game. Fucking boring. I can't believe people watch that shit. Where you have a heart attack, the game's over. You're talking to anyone on the phone ever. And you have a brain aneurysm. That conversation is over. You're listening to my set. Well, I can end this one, so yeah, thanks everybody.
This comic of this set just flew in from LA. Boy, are his arms tired. Welcome Ben Gruber.
So after a long, prosperous life, I got married. And after that, I had a kid. And, well, let's clap for that. Actually, don't clap, that's not funny. I thought before I had the kid that things would be no different. It would be the same. I was wrong. But with change comes knowledge. I now know things I never knew before. For one, I learned that the sitcoms that I always loved, Married with Children, Everybody Loves Raymond, those weren't comedies. Those are documentaries. First reality TV shows, if you will. Like when he pretends to fall asleep when his wife calls his name, he wasn't faking. He was just fucking tired. But the most important thing I learned, and I stress this is the most important, is that I learned about pornography. I mean, I watched porn before I was a dad, but I didn't know porn until I was a father. For example, before fatherhood, I didn't know what those left-hand columns were all about. You know, pregnant this, fisting that, whatever it was. What? I did. Yeah, they're there. He's not married, he doesn't have a kid. I didn't know what they were there for. I thought they were maybe for, you know, listen, people are perverted, they do their thing, I'm not gonna judge. But what I found out is, those are for me after I got married. You know, what I learned is they're not even about your sexual preferences or what you're interested in. They're about escaping reality. You know, they're more like fictional novels than science books. Like, kind of more Harry Potter than Darwinism. You know, in fatherhood, you lose all your free time. You know, you have to, you know, make the most of every minute. So I had to learn, once again, how to masturbate without the internet. Have any of you out there, just, do you know what that's like? Have you imagined lately what you would do? Seriously. Tony, you just wrote this today. All right, we'll do a quick quiz. The last time you masturbated without the internet, A, did you masturbate to a woman that you, or a man, that you have had sex with, or B, that you wanted to?
Hey.
You're all wrong. You masturbated to yourself masturbating. Even though I know a lot, some porn still doesn't make sense to me. You know, maybe I need another child before this all clicks in. Like, why does the man's relationship to the woman he's putting his penis in matter so much? Like, what does it matter if it's his stepsister, you know, his wife's uncle's brother, you know? Is it the neighbor's, you know, librarian? Like, what does it matter? Like, what's the deal? This isn't a joke. I'm serious. Does anyone know the deal with that? I mean, because to me, that's just one porn star fucking another porn star. And by the way, why do we call them porn stars? Every single one of them. Are they really all stars? Or are some of them just like pretty good actors? Also, I'm just wondering, is it Butaki or Bukaki? I mean, I've never said this out loud. I've just seen the word written. Seriously, I think it's an onomatopoeia, maybe. But just imagine if you got Bukaki in a spelling bee. Your word is Bukaki. Can you give it to me in a sentence, please? Ted and his friends bukakied on his wife. Definitely be you. Origin, please. Ted's Basement, 1994. I remember the first time I masturbated to my dad's porn. Summer of '95, Swank magazine. It was glorious. I want to carry on the tradition. I want my son to masturbate to what I masturbate to. So I just the other day set a reminder in my phone. Stop clearing your cache in 13 years. That way, my son, my firstborn, and I will have a connection. We'll watch the same porn. Well, why do you call it watch porn, really? Do you really watch porn? I mean, you watch TV, you watch a movie, you fuck porn. Thank you.
Grab a drink, and we'll be right back.
Yes!
Our next comedian to the stage. Guys, he's lived in New York City for 1 month, and he has been so brave to come and do this stand-up. Everyone, please clap for
Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you guys. So I appreciate it. Hey, all the comics have been fucking killing it. Oh my God. Give him a hand. Give him a hand. It's the first time, y'all. It's the first time. But seriously, so if this was a competition, I honestly think that I would win it. Okay? Can I tell you why? Because my set's under 5 minutes, you motherfuckers. Y'all coming up here like it's an HBO documentary talking about like 10 jokes, 15 jokes. I only got 2 stories. 2 stories, okay? All right? So, first story. If you don't know, I just moved here from Raleigh, North Carolina a few weeks ago. Okay? I'm brand fucking new to this city. So, and there's a lot of fucking differences between the South and the North. First, big difference. Dating, okay? So who was talking about dating is disastrous? Who said that? Rachel. It's a disaster, okay? Can I talk about my side of the coin? Okay? single girls, if there's any single girls, pick some better fucking photos, okay? Y'all are so good at photos, at Photoshop. Why is it always the one at 4 a.m., like on the toilet, like chilling? Like, come on, pick some better photos, okay? So I'm gonna tell y'all about the worst Bumble profile that I've ever seen. Okay, can I tell you the story?
Yes.
Okay. So she had one photo in her Bumble profile. All right. It was a selfie in the bathroom stall. Okay. No. That's not the worst part. The worst part was the description. Okay. Guess what the description said? It said future couch potato housewife. I was like, who would swipe right on that? Who would? Who, like, if there was like, you know, you can super swipe, if you can super dislike, like, I'm super disliking that shit. Like, I'm sorry, like, I'm just letting you, like, report, like, bye, like, get the fuck off the app. I'm telling you, like, it's terrible. Okay. Second big difference between the South and the North, okay? In the South, all right, it's loving. We love everyone. Like, everyone knows each other, okay? And we have respect for old people, okay? I gotta say that, all right? We love our old people. We take care of them, okay? So I was walking home one night from work to a restaurant. It was a little packed on the street. And all of a sudden, you know, this old lady in front of me just hits the fucking deck. Boom! I've fallen and I can't get up. I need life alert. Like that type of shit. You remember that? You remember that commercial? Yeah. She looked exactly like the woman too in the fucking commercial. Okay. And so I'm looking around like, all right, good people of New York, like help this lady. Like, you know, it's great. Nope, absolutely fucking not. Person steps over her like, you know the NBA players when they like dunk over and then they step over. It was a fucking disrespectful just. And I was like, damn, that was so fucked up. No, I ended up jumping over her ass too. I'm sorry. Hey, look, man. 16 handles was closing in 5 minutes. I was like, yo, what the fuck? I gotta become a New Yorker, so that's my time. Thank y'all, man.
So my beloved Mets are tanking. We lost tonight to the Yankees. That's okay. We can win tomorrow night if it stops raining. Maybe we should just keep talking about the weather. And no one has to know that I'm not that funny. So, anyways, there are a few things I want to talk about. I didn't want to script it particularly. Some people have talked about dating. Some people have talked about work. I might say one about each. People have talked about Bumble profiles that say ridiculous things. One time I was swiping around, there was a mom with her kids on it and said, yeah, those are my kids. In the punchline it said, and I know how to make good snacks. And I looked at that and I was like, oh, but the snacks. The snacks. The snacks. I really just thought of adding that one right now. So what I was going to talk about was work. Everyone's talked about work a little bit. Everyone wants to take work full circle. Everyone loves a good corporate hollow dialogue. You know, your boss comes in, he talks about his vision. He talks about synergy. We all work in matrix corporations. Is that really a thing? Where we're up, down, sideways, we're not vertical, we're not horizontal, we're somewhere in between. So a handful of years ago, all of us were, you know, on the lower end of the employment chain. And we got some balls and we went into our boss's office and we were like, hey, you know what? I want a fucking raise. And we went in and, you know, most of our bosses had some practiced comedic skit that they were gonna perform for us. They say, well, you know, I think there are a lot of things people look for in a job. They look for security, they look for knowledge, they look for all these great things. So we just droned on and on and on, and I was like, you know, fuck you, whatever. So 2 months ago, a guy who works for me, I have no power to give him a raise. That's not within my job description. But he came up to me and he was like really nervous. He was like, Pat, I really, Pat. I'm like, why are you saying my name 10 times? Like, I just really want to talk to you, like, but not here. And I'm like, well, he's like, let's go for a walk. So we go for a walk and we're walking around and he's like, and I thought about it, I was like, he's gonna ask me for a fucking raise. And you know what? I'm gonna have to say synergy. I'm gonna have to say matrix, knowledge. I'm gonna have to throw out all these buzzwords, cross-selling. I might do one of these again. I don't know. My back's a little stiff. My hips aren't so good, but we'll work on that. So I walk him to the train. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go home. Why don't you walk me to the train? And I'm like, okay. He walks in this really circuitous route. I'm like, oh, this is going to be long. He's like, dude, I've been interviewing other places. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's totally normal. Most people should. If you're not happy with your job, interview other places. What can I say? That's what you should do. And he walked me to the job. He was like, he got right to the steps of the subway. And he said, dude, I got an offer making more money. And I think I'm gonna take it. It was like he said he was breaking up with me. And you know what? I was like, dude, go for it. You got it. I'm so fucking proud of you. And you know what? Get the fuck on the train, because that's where synergy lives. And that's my set.
From Los Angeles, California. Put it together for Robert Teller III.
Let's go!
No joke, my mom just called me, wished me good luck, so I'm feeling good right now. I'm good. So, unlike all the other comics, it's actually not my first time on stage doing comedy. In about 4 minutes and 50 seconds, we'll find out if it's my first time doing funny comedy. We'll see. First times are crazy. It's true what they say. You never forget your first time. I can see everyone's faces going back to probably the first time they had sex, right? Except my man right there in the back row. You probably never had a first time, have you? Oh my gosh. What are you, about 30, 35, 37? 40. You probably had a boner for about 12 years, huh? Straight. You still got time, don't worry, you still got time. All you gotta do is drink, right? Because it's a scientific fact. The more you drink, the less you think, right? So that girl with the big ass forehead and the 6 toes and the stutter, she'll look good in a minute, don't worry, right? So listen, right, first times are crazy. So I'm not gonna talk about my first time, having sex, or my first kiss, or the first time I gave myself a hand job. I'm not gonna talk about that. I'm gonna talk about the first time I saw real life nakedness. Okay, so I have a sister. I didn't mean that to go that way. No. So my sister's 10 years older than I am, okay? Which means when I was about 10 or 11, she was in college, okay? And she went to an all-girls college. Let me repeat that. She went to an all-girls college, right? And I went to go visit her. And we all know college for teenagers is a place where they experiment, they find themselves, they get mild forms of STDs, right? But for a child, but for a boy, it's heaven, right? It's heaven. So I remember when I went there, stayed overnight, woke up in the morning, went to the shower. When I walked into the bathroom, I was the only person. When I walked out, different story. Okay? I remember turning off the shower, drying myself off, open that curtain, couldn't believe my eyes. There it was, in the flesh, long, beautiful hair. The hottest chick I've ever seen at that time. Taking a shit. It was fucking disgusting. I've never seen anything like it, right? She had the sound effects and all. Ooh, it looked like she was pushing out corn that was still on the cob. Okay, I mean it was disgusting. All right, but as guys do, right? We look past the grossness, okay? And I still saw a titty, which was amazing. Okay, granted, they were saggy because she was sitting on the toilet bent over. right? But I never forget my first titty. It was fucking amazing. It was amazing. First time, I'm telling you, first time to create. So I remember the first time. I traveled personally for pleasure. Okay, so I travel a lot for work, you know, and I got that corporate card, right? Swipe, swipe. Okay, I'm okay buying first class, business class, right? I'm okay buying extra leg room, them fucking $10 Pringles, right? I'm okay, but when I travel by myself, I'm on a budget. Okay, I flew Spirit Airlines. I know. Fucking Spirit. What a name, Spirit. I know why they call it that, because they break your fucking spirit. How the hell do you buy an $89 flight, and then before you take off, you're $300 deep? They got fees for everything. Fees for check bags, fees to pick your seat, fees to talk to the person next to you, fees to stand up, fees to go to the bathroom. They charged me $26 to carry on my own bag. Wait a minute. I'm carrying on my bag, not you. What the fuck you charging me $26 for? You want me to do the work and you want me to pay for it. That's worse than slavery. Okay? I know, no slavery jokes. You know, I'm gonna have Kanye call the Spirit CEO and tell him that shit should be a choice. You know what I'm saying? But of course I had to do it. Because it was a long haul, so 4 to 5 hours, you know, whatever. I paid the fees. I sat in the exit row, long ass legs, got to do it, you know. You short motherfuckers don't know it. You know, but I had to do it, right? So I'm sitting there, we all flown before. Lady comes by, the flight attendant come by. She happened to be a lady. And she goes, you know, you're sitting in the exit row. She gave her speech. Are you willing and are you able to help in case of an emergency? Right, the dude to the window right away was like, yes, of course, I'll help. I'm on the aisle, in the middle, Spanish dude like, C. I don't know if he fucking understood the question. He just said C. He probably didn't want to be charged for speaking English. You know what I'm saying? He was like, C, whatever, just get the fuck out of here. But I said, you know what? I am able. I'm able to help. I'm able. And I'm willing to help as well. For a fee of $26. Listen, that's my set. I love all y'all.
Listen, everybody, that's the show.
Drink water, beer, anything?